Hello, everybody. How are we? Welcome along to WD18, the Watford fan channel, with myself, Jacob Culshaw, Sam Ucko, and Charlie Zazzera for the final time of 2024. Today's video and podcast is 5 players Watford should sign in January. We're going to give our suggestions, going to have a bit of a chat about it. It is obviously the eve of 2025, but it's the eve, most importantly, of the January transfer window. And Watford have been pretty busy over the last couple of seasons, if I remember correctly. I can think of Henrik Rouge, I can think of a Ryan Porteous, a Maduka Okoye in there. So we have been active in the January transfer market, and we'll see if we are this time round. And then we'll just have a chat about tomorrow, which is the trip to Loftus Road, to West London, to face QPR at Loftus Road. Thanks so much to everyone who's watching live. Hope you do go and enjoy the last stream of 2024. Let us know any comments. Let us know any thoughts, any feelings, anything you'd like us to debate on the last show of the year. Leave a like on the video, comment down below your thoughts, all that good stuff, and drop us a 5-star review on audio if you are listening over there as well. Sam, we were just chatting before we went live about New Year's Eve. Is it the most overrated day of the year?
Oh, genuinely, there's just no excitement towards it. I feel very Roy Keane with it, but like tomorrow's just a new day. I mean, the transfer window's opening, very exciting. Watford are playing tomorrow, but yeah, to be honest with you, I'm not too fussed at all by 2025 coming in. I'm not the biggest fan of fireworks. I feel bad for my dog when the fireworks come on. It's just an excuse to have a few drinks.
Watching the excited Thursday night.
But I am more excited for Watford tomorrow. So yeah, just a quiet one tonight with a few friends, and looking forward to tomorrow.
Charlie, anything going on this New Year's Eve just to liven up a little bit?
Sam's made me think I'm just going to walk the streets in the dark. No, I'm not sure. I might be going around a mate's house, but nothing too extravagant. But more excited about seeing you two tomorrow morning, bright and early, and then heading to the tin for a big game to start the year.
I must say, by the way, at the start of last week, before the Portsmouth game, Charlie said to me that he would happily sacrifice the home record if it means us beating QPR tomorrow. So we've lost.
How it's your El Clasico, this, isn't it? QPR Watford.
Yeah, big one. Lots of bragging rights at stake. The 0-0 was pretty boring, wasn't it? No one really had anything to shout about after that. So yeah, let's start the video. Can we sign Jake Livermore to come in, get a double again like he did last year? But we've got to win. We've got to win tomorrow. Get back to winning ways.
Do you know what? You just made me realise how quickly the year's gone, because that was pretty much a year ago when Jake Livermore scored twice and produced the greatest shoots from the away end. Hopefully we get more of the same tomorrow. I'm trying to think of who'd be most appropriate to score a goal like that tomorrow. Do you reckon, Sam?
Oh, it's difficult. No one can.
Jeremy Ngakia is the new Lloyd Doyley. Yeah, I'm waiting for it to come to the edge and him
header at the back post from Ngakia.
Lloyd Doyley, of course. And didn't remember a couple of years ago when Ngakia smacked one off the crossbar. I can't remember, it was a home game, but I'd love Jebbison to get his first goal.
God, that would be beautiful. And I think it would have to have a Jeremy Ngakia ball roll just before it as well, before he hits it with his left. I can't see him scoring with his right, but maybe just cutting inside, swinging a left at it, top left-hand corner. We'll wait and see. Thanks so much to everyone who's joined us live. Huge shout out to our moderator, Jack. Times end 2024 on a high with a WD18 stream. Let us know your plans for New Year's Eve. What are you up to? Is it literally an early one with a cup of hot milk, looking forward to QPR tomorrow? Or are you doing something a little bit more extravagant? But one thing's for certain, Sam won't be there. Watford fan, big up to everyone tuning in. There was a comment from Mark who said New Year's Eve payment and queues to get into pubs, impossible to then get an overpriced drink, then waiting in the cold, wondering how to get home. Mark, you've hit the nail on the head. My question would be, though, if you're based in Watford, and I'm not going to give our whereabouts, would you go out in Watford or would you head into London? Now, for me, I wouldn't go into Watford at this time. I think the nightlife's on the decline, if I'm honest with you. Prison shut down. Walkabout Watford is probably your best bet. Spoons as a pre-drinks. Sam,
don't slag off potential sponsors, mate.
No, don't worry about no Mad Squirrel.
If you are looking for somewhere to go this New Year's Eve, the Mad Squirrel is open as far as we're aware.
And that is the place to be, Mad Squirrel. That's the one. But I think every other establishment in Watford, no offence, might be slightly on the decline. Let's get into it because I've talked about New Year's Eve for long enough. 5 players Watford should sign this January. A bit of housekeeping before we get into it. Most importantly, Hertfordshire Mind, 7 goals in December, £7 each from myself, Sam and Charlie going into the pot. The link is in the description below if you'd like to join us with that. I know a few people are waiting to the end of the season to do it all at once, which is obviously a big lump sum. But if you want to do it gradually as the season progresses, then the link is in the description below to get involved. And remember, Hertfordshire Mind's Indian Sizzler Night on Monday, the 29th of January 2025. Going to take a little bit of getting used to that. £25 a ticket for a night of delicious food, community connection, and to support mental health. Link is in the bio as well to that one. Charlie, look, this one's gone on for a little bit longer, the intro, before we get into it, because there is a lot to discuss. Do you want me to open my present now, or do you want to do it at the end of the video?
No, save it to the end. Save it to the end.
Okay, we'll save it to the end. Okay.
And Sam's got a cracker as well to share at the end.
Sam, give us a tease.
We'll tease it, but let's say it was an inventive Christmas present, but one that is sitting proudly on the wall, I'd say.
There is.
Let's go.
Stay tuned. Also stay tuned for Greg. I think I know a January transfer nailed on. Want the name? Now that's a tease, Greg. Let us know by the end of the video. Stay tuned and we'll reveal all as well. So also just to mention, there was no thoughts. Charlie said, do I want to talk a bit more about Cardiff? Absolutely not. But there was a comment from Andrew French, his recent article, Clev's comments on January. Sam, I'm sure, this is Tom Cleverley, I'm sure there'll be some business, and I think it's important we get the right players out as well as in. It is a month where we'll be actively trying to improve the squad and, more importantly, the team. I have no guarantees as of yet, though. Sam, your reaction to Cleverley's quotes?
Yeah, the big one, I think, is often quite... the thing that gets lost in January is often players can leave as well as come in. Obviously, today's video is about 5 players that Watford should sign. But the thing that I found interesting in there was that he was highlighting that there will probably be some players heading out the door as well. I think we all know that there are a few names who will most likely be heading out the door. I think the big one is Ken Sema, who reports, I think yesterday emerged that he could be looking at going to Sweden, I think. Back to Sweden for probably the last part of his career. But I think other than that, we're going to be looking at getting some loan moves sorted for a few of our younger players, perhaps Antonio Tekvic in that, Mamadou Doumbia as well. So, yeah, I think it could be an interesting window as well for players that could leave the club.
On leaving, Ken Sema's the one that's been rumoured, Charlie. We saw an article released by a Swedish outlet suggesting that he's on his way. Sort of the comments are suggesting that he's already signed a pre-contract deal. It does make sense considering his exclusions from the squad, and Watford probably looking at his contract going, if we don't, we can get a fee for him in January before his contract expires in the summer. Are there any other names that you'd expect to move on in January before we talk about potential incomings?
I thought I saw a tall peroxide bloke warming up against Cardiff in Antonio Tikvic, but it turns out it was one of their players. A reminder of him. I would not be surprised if he gets ushered out the back door. I can't really think of anyone else, to be honest. I think Loser's resurgence has changed things. Whether that means he might get more interest now. I know he's picked a nibble, but I reckon he'll stay. And yeah, Ken Sema, I think it's been a bit of a shame because I think he'll go down as a Watford great. Maybe not legend, but a great. Really good, consistent player. Maybe not this season for us. And I think time's just kind of caught up with him in the way we play, and he might not get kind of the ending that he would have wanted. But I think he's been a great servant for us. So if it is the last we see of Ken Sema, I wish him all the best. And I think he's been a really, really good player for us.
Yeah, I think Imran Loser leaving is still going to be the one to watch this window in terms of big exits. It won't shock me if there is a bid, and I think there will be interest there. There has been in Imran Loser over the last few windows. It wouldn't shock me if he does move on, and if he potentially does also push for that move as well. The recent resurgence has been really, really good for him, and also it's been great for the team. But it just wouldn't surprise me if we saw Loser still leaving this window.
Why is that, Sam, do you think, with him? Because if I look at the contract situation, the only one who's out of contract come the summer will be Ken Sema. And then the nearest to that is Tom Ince, who's the year after. So Ken Sema is the only player, obviously with Jonathan Bond joining on a free, but that one, he's got an option to extend, and a Bonner, etc. We'll make a decision on those. But Ken Sema is the one player who you'd expect to move on this January. With Loser though, Sam, why have you got a feeling that he might potentially move on?
I think it all hinges on the club that comes in and the bid that comes in. Obviously, as with a lot of transfers, but I just feel like it's been one that's been bubbling on for the last couple of seasons now, last couple of transfer windows. And yes, he's come into the side recently. If you'd asked me this question 6 weeks ago, I'd have said 100% he's leaving. But I just wonder if it's maybe too little, too late in terms of us trying to keep hold of Imran Loser, and if potentially his mind was set on leaving in January anyway, and we've maybe just bumped up his price tag a bit more.
I guess that begs the question then, Charlie. We've discussed who will be leaving in Jan. A couple of names to throw out there. I think Tikvich is another one, as you guys mentioned, where you'd expect him to maybe return to Udinese or get another loan because he obviously isn't in the picture at the moment. Daniel Jebbison, cleverly also confirmed, will stay here to the end of the season. Now, Watford fans have suggested whether you cancel the loan and then bring in another striker on loan. Cleverly said the best thing for him would be to stay until the end of the season. What's your thoughts on that decision?
Yeah, I'm really championing Daniel Jebbison. I watched back his miss against Cardiff and for him. In real time, I didn't know if he was stretching, how bad of a miss it was, but yeah, he's just so unlucky at the moment. So I'm really rooting for him to get that first goal and kind of make an impact this season, because he's had a nightmare start. But yeah, I think he's going to get more minutes as the season's gone on. I think we have seen better application in recent games. And again, I definitely think that the Portsmouth game was a real big step forward for him. So hopefully that goal comes in any shape or form, and we kind of get some kind of good impact from him. I think it's been pretty remarkable how kind of Cleves has managed to get him back in. I think we spoke about on the last video, but I think that takes really good kind of personal skills and managed to kind of get him up for it and get him looking like a player. I know a lot of people are kind of bad against him, including the misses, but I generally believe if we do get a goal, I think we could see a player who is better than Bayer for me.
I think Iman makes a really interesting point here, that Cleves is dead set on improving every player. He said it's one of the main reasons why he became a coach, because he likes that idea of improving players and giving them advice and developing them. And I think he has to let that idea go on Jebbison. That's an interesting one. But I think that will be in the back of Cleverley's mind. He's brought him in. He's probably promised to take his game to another level, or at least improve his ability. Now it's whether they can get that. And I think I understand the frustration with Jebbison, but I would like to judge him after he's got a goal, because I do just feel at the minute it is all confidence with Daniel Jebbison. If the same performances are still happening after he's got a goal, then I think then you kind of made your mind up. But I don't want to write a player off who has actually shown some bright sparks. Granted, he should have scored against Cardiff, but there was that good moment, wasn't there, on Boxing Day in the first half? And maybe it's because we're being a little bit, giving him some leeway. I just don't want to write him off just yet until he's got that goal, and then we can fully judge his ability. But Wendo Vaughan says cancel Jebbo is hard. He's played for Bournemouth. He can't be loaned again. He either goes back there to play and develop in the reserves, or we're stuck with him. And then it begs the question, when we look ahead to January, Sam, what positions do we need? Because Austin says, I think for Jan, we need another left-back, centre-mid and a striker. And those are the three positions that Watford fans across social media have mentioned as the priorities. If you had to, firstly, do you agree with that? Number two, if you had to pick a priority out of those three, what would it be?
Yeah, maybe this is a big claim, but I think if we strengthen those three positions, the left back, the central midfielder and the striker, I think we get top six. No question about it. I genuinely think that if we strengthen those areas, we'll be completely fine for a playoff spot. If I had to pick one to prioritise, if I had to order them,
clip it up.
Come on, let's go. We have to actually get over the line though first in terms of getting those three players in, which, to be honest with you, do I have much faith in? Probably not. If I had to rank them, though, in terms of the importance of them, I'd probably say central midfielder is the most important one. That's as well, if we keep hold of Imran Loser, we're going to need that partner for him, because, we've spoken about it enough. Sissoko, probably not good enough anymore. For me, KMB, he offers good moments, particularly off the bench, but he's not consistent enough for me. I'd then probably go with a striker, someone, I know we've spoken again quite a lot about Jebbison and Bayo, both frustrating for different reasons, but both can offer good things as well. And then the left back position, the last few weeks, which I've had the pleasure of watching next to Charlie, Yasser Larouci has done my absolute head in watching him. I think his Watford career started really, really well, but Jacob, I can't remember which player you said it about. It might have been Andrews. I'm not sure, but Larousse is a player who needs his mind made up for him. If you give him any second to think about what he's going to do on the ball, he will most likely make the wrong decision. If you put it on a plate for him to either cross or shoot, the delivery is normally really, really good. And it's just his decision making when he's got that time is really frustrating. So a left back is also going to be really important for me.
I'm siding towards the central midfielder position, Charlie, being the most important out of those three. What do you reckon?
Yeah, absolutely. Before I kind of looked at kind of what players I wanted to look at and positions, I kind of wanted to have a look at our numbers to see where we're struggling this season. So like this is the big stat which I kind of pulled out from. So this is in order of tackles won in the middle third of the pitch. Watford rock bottom. Tackles in general, we're I think 23rd, and recoveries we're 21st. So again, there's been a lot of talk about Moussa Sissoko, but it's in black and white. I know the game isn't all about stats, but that middle third, the fact that we're rock bottom is a real concern. So that's kind of led me on to thinking, I think that's the area that we definitely need to strengthen, especially with kind of not being totally confident with Tom Dele-Bashiru and his injury. I think he was great at the start of the season. But yeah, I think that's a real certainty. So should I kick off with a name to start us off?
Go for it, Charlie. Floor's yours.
So yeah, like I said, I think looking at a profile for what I think we need a destroyer. Someone who's going to go in, cover ground, get those tackles in, break play up, and start attacks for us. Looked at a couple of players. I looked at Harrison Reed at Fulham. He's just coming back from a knee injury though, but I thought he would be really, really good. I also looked at Lewis O'Brien, who was at LAFC, but he's come back to Nottingham Forest. That could be a loan option. Not too much of a kind of a tackler, kind of better going forward, but I still think he'd be good as well. Preston have got Ali McCann playing for them. Really, really good player. He's 25 and really good tackling numbers, but I think he'd be a bit too expensive for us just with that profile. So the person I've gone for, he has got the most tackles in all leagues this season. He's won 4 times more tackles than Moussa Sissoko this season, which is pretty mad. That's 4 times more in the middle third. And he's chipped in with some goals. He's got 3 goals in the Championship, and he can also play 46 progressive passes, which is pretty good. He's got good experience playing this season as part of a team playing with a back 3 and a back 4, which I think in recent weeks has been really important for us. He has been Derby County's best player this season, still 28-year-old. I do think if we'd get him, we'd have to put a fee down for him. But yeah, the player I think we should go for is Ibu Adams of Derby County. Absolute complete destroyer, tackling monster. And I think if we had kind of that energy in the centre midfield, it'd be a real game changer for us. I don't know if you guys know much about him or saw the Charlie's Challenge latest video. Make sure you check that out. I dropped his name on and loads of Derby County fans were, I don't know if you guys saw the reaction to that, but a player they don't want to lose at all.
Yeah, a lot of the Derby fans said that you're not getting him. I have to admit, I haven't watched loads of Ibu Adams, but it was interesting the Derby fans' reaction to it. They obviously clearly saw the quality in him. Sam, on that central midfield spot, Charlie's thrown out a shout there. Any shouts you wanted to throw out on that area? There's one I'm really big on, which I'll get onto in a minute, but that sort of destroyer in midfield to get those stats up, which is really alarming, to be honest, because I don't think that's sustainable for the whole season if that carries on.
Yeah, it's a really difficult window to operate in, the January one, because obviously it's a shorter period of time for teams to get that replacement, and particularly for a player like Ibu Adams, who is a really vital part of that Derby team. So it's potentially one to look at more in the summer window. Player I've got down, another player I mentioned in Charlie's Challenge recently, someone who it seems Preston fans have sort of fallen out of love with recently. When I mentioned him, they all honestly just have him. But whenever I've watched him, I've been relatively impressed, and that's Ben Whiteman of Preston North End. Not as much of a destroyer potentially as someone like Adams, and his stats are similar to Sissoko, if not maybe just a tiny bit off. And I think that's been just because there's been a bit of a drop off this season. He's not starting as many games either, and it's in a Preston team that have been incredibly inconsistent as well under Paul Heckingbottom for the majority of the season. So, yeah, potentially a player who we could look to reignite his career. He's 28, and there's still legs. There's still legs there for him as well, unlike Sissoko. So, yeah, I think it would definitely be an upgrade and one that I don't think would cost too much either.
Good shout. Before I go on to my take, I've just got a list of sort of recent January transfer signings we've made. And I want to know how many of these you think were a success for Watford. So here we go. Emmanuel Dennis, Ishmael Kone, João Ferreira, Henrik Arouge, Mateus Martins, Wesley Hoot, Ryan Porteous, Britt Assombalonga, Hassan Kamara, Edu Kiembe, Samir, Maduka Okoye, and Samuel Kalu.
I've counted 6.5.
Well, they're good or bad?
Good ones. Successes. I'd say about 6.5 successes there out of how many was on that list?
2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 15.
15.
A mixed bag.
Yeah, just under half.
Probably the pick of the bunch was Wesley Hoot in terms of the amount of games he played and the fact he became club captain. Porto in terms of longevity, I guess. Ishmael Kone, transfer fee. I mean, Ishmael Kone is not really playing at Marseille at the minute. Dennis, decent. There's a couple of shockers on there. He didn't play much football. But let us know any of those that you think... well, one of them, I saw some people say they'd take Emmanuel Dennis back in January. I mean, it wouldn't surprise you though, would it, Charlie, if Dennis did come back for the third time?
No, it wouldn't surprise me at all. Get the trilogy in. He did score a really important goal for us last season in Tom Cleverley's first game. That crucial goal against Birmingham that kind of helped us kind of stay up in a way. So yeah, and I'll still always remember that backflip in that 2-2 draw against Leeds when he was injured. Like he is box office, and I did enjoy him that day when it was confirmed that we signed him. That was electric, wasn't it, on social media? But there is actually, I will tease another one. One of the other players, one of the fifth player I'm going to pick is an old Watford player. So I'll tease that. But Jacob, tell me about your sentiment.
Just before I went on to that, I was trying to think of like who would be the most rogue shout, like Craig Forsyth coming back for for another stint. I'm trying to think of someone who'd be outrageous. What's Jonathan Hogg up to these days? On the central midfielder spot, if you watched our Portsmouth post-match morning coffee at the Junction Caf, I mentioned his name, and I'm going to go with him again. Hector Kyprianou of Peterborough, central midfielder, can play centre-back, can play defensive midfield. He's the destroyer in there. He's Peterborough's captain. He's 23 years of age. Watford actually tried to sign him last January on deadline day for £2.5 million. That was confirmed by Peterborough's owner, but it was rejected. Most importantly, though, you look at his situation at this moment in time, he's out of contract in 6 months. And that's the same case with Jay Jones, who's a striker for Peterborough. Poku as well. He's a really exciting winger who's got numbers to back it up as well. They've got quite a few out of contract, Peterborough. But I think all three of those that I've just mentioned would easily move up a division. And I think it goes back to what you guys said about what's the most important position. And I think probably that's based on what Tom Cleverley wants, because if we go to a back four, then I'd probably say it's a left back. But if we don't and we continue with the three at the back, then I think the defensive midfielder is the position which is without a doubt the most important, because it's quite clear we need a striker. I think most Watford fans would agree that we do need a striker sooner rather than later. But there's a number of teams I've seen over the Championship years that have done really well without a prolific number 9. And I just don't think we can sustain the level we're producing at the minute and the position we're in at the minute without a functioning midfield and without a destroyer in there. I genuinely think that position transforms the team for this Watford side. I almost liken it to when, not the same level because it's a very, very different team, but I go back to when Ben Watson signed for Watford, where we had all the goals going forwards. We had quite a strong back line, but we didn't really have a lot in central midfield in terms of defensive attributes. And Ben Watson just allowed everyone and freed up and did all the dirty work. And without Loser, and who would have thought it at the start of the season, without Imran Loser, I think this Watford team's in serious trouble when you look at the midfield situation, because Sissoko's performances have dropped off. Kiembe can't play in a 2. Tom Dele-Bashiru we'll have to wait and see when he comes back into the team. And we're in a situation where we do need someone in there, and the stats back it up, to destroy and be that defensive-minded player. And I think Hector Kyprianou ticks pretty much all the boxes for Watford. He's of a good profile. He's young. We could get him for a good fee. At the end of the day, the fact his contract's come to this situation, he's probably got Championship clubs interested. If Peterborough aren't going to turn down the opportunity to get a fee from him in January, if his contract's going to be running out in 6 months. So I think he'd be a really, really good fit for Watford. And it does help that I think he's a local lad as well. So,
yeah, go on, give us the story, the Sunday League story, Jacob.
Well, no, isn't it true you played against him and he was really good, but you pocketed him?
I slipped Charlie and intended to say that before we went live. Look, it was a long time back. I think it was in the muddy fields of Enfield. We played a team called Ammonia. He'll never remember this. He won't remember this, but I do remember actually thinking he was a pretty good player. But no, I think because he started at Leyton Orient, went out on loan a little bit. Peterborough bought him, and now he's one of the best players in League One. And I think he'd be a great shout. Now the question is, Sam, just before we move on to the other shouts, because we've been going for about 25 minutes now. How much do you think Watford? Because Watford are clearly interested in him. I would go all out. I'd go absolutely all out because there's going to be championship. There's going to be championship clubs interested in him, and I think it'd be a missed opportunity. How much do you reckon Watford max would pay for him with 6 months left in his contract?
Yeah, with 6 months left, and also the Peterborough chairman owner is notoriously one of the most difficult men to deal with in the EFL. You just have to listen to his podcast. He prides himself on that. I think we'd probably go max of 3 or 4 million. I reckon. Max, or more than that. I don't know the League One market well enough. How much do you reckon, Charlie?
He's out of contract. We are not paying over £1 million for him. Like,
not over $1 million, you don't think?
Like, he is a League One player, and I back Jacob. Like, I think it'd be a really, really good signing. I think if you hear what other people say, he's probably one of the best players in League One. It's something that I've wanted us to do a bit more, look in the lower leagues. But I think with his contract situation, they could lose him on a free. Gino will know that. Like, although he's an outstanding player. I'm trying to think of the other fees that Peterborough have taken in recent times.
My only feeling, Charlie, is that I do think there will be other championship clubs in for him, which means they could knock up the price a bit.
Yeah,
interesting.
I'd say $1 million.
I was quite surprised that we'd put in $2.5 million for him last January, because clearly he was a target. And Val, do you remember it was the day after deadline day, and Andrew French was asking about sort of transfer business and stuff. And he said, because Chatford actually signed that deal, didn't he? Which is absolutely crazy to think that was 12 months ago. And he mentioned that we'd put in a late bid for him, and $2.5 million is quite a lot for Watford now. We don't really spend that much money on players. The last time, Sam, can you remember the last time we spent a good fee on a player? Like, obviously, Chakford was like 1.5-2 million, but especially for someone in the EFL.
Yeah, I mean, my mind's gone completely blank. I mean, I'm just going for our team now in my head. I mean, I just think of Bio was what, 6 million. It might be that, unless missing someone completely obvious.
Charlie, before you get onto your next one, how much do you reckon Watford will spend in this window? I'll leave that on Sam as well.
Yeah, I think because of the position we're in, I think Gino is going to have a whiff of that Premier League money, and I'm hoping that we could spend maybe 3 to 4 million. I don't know. Like, it's impossible to tell because it's all about who becomes available, what gets accepted. Is it the right deal? We're not going to be spending more than 5 million. But if Gino could think we've got an opportunity here, and we've spoken on previous pods about we think this season is an opportunity with the quality of the league for that 6th spot, and we're in a pretty healthy position. So. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised their money, but we're not going to be spending over 5 million, are we? But saying that, we did recruit quite a lot of money in the summer with Espria. And we have made that. But then when you look at the summer and look at the club's initiative to raise funds for transfers, so it's really hard to tell. But hopefully we see some money spent on the right player. But I think Jacob, I'll have you right. If we can get Hector in, that would be a really, really good bit of business.
Touch wood. Ishmael Kone was probably the last big fee we spent on a player, which is a really, really good shout. We did make a profit on him as well. Charlie, we'll move on. We've done our midfielder shout. Now it's a sort of left centre back suggestion. So, Charlie, who have you got for that one?
Yeah, when I was looking at profiles, I was thinking, oh, it'd be really good if we could get like a left back who can also play as a left centre back. Someone like Joseph Guardiola, can we sign him? I bet he'll be cheap. But like, I just don't think that's possible. And kind of echoing on from what Sam was saying earlier in the video about Larousse, I just think in a back four, it's not going to work. We don't have that left back. I think Morris would be probably more suited to just that left back in a back four. So I'm looking at kind of players. I first wanted to look at players who had really, really good defensive numbers, kind of really good in terms of dribbling in 1v1 situation. And I came up with a few names who I'll kind of go through at the end. But the player I've gone for has got really, really good championship experience. He had an excellent season in the 21-22 season where his team got promoted and it earned him a Premier League move. He's played 45 games in the Premier League since then. He can play as a left back, can play as a left wing back, which is perfect. I do think, especially at the stage we are in now, our best team is playing with wing backs. He really reminds me, and I feel like I might have mentioned him in a video previously, but he really reminds me of Liverpool's Andy Robertson. Those attributes are really strong defensively, good going forward, tough tackler. I'm going for Harry Toffolo of Nottingham Forest on loan. He hasn't had much game time for Forest. I think he might have came on in a recent game, but I think if you looked at Forest now, their defensive numbers, I think they've got the most clean sheets in the Premier League. He's going to be hard to get a look in, but he has played for them when they first got in the Premier League. He was stunning for Huddersfield under Sam's mate Carlos Corberán when they finished third. And I just think he's got like a really good mix and the attributes that you want. I think he'd be a leader for us. And I'd love to see him herring up that left wing. So he's one that I've gone forward. I was also looking at, I know we've been interested previously in Kenneth Powell. We might get a look at him tomorrow. Also, Leicester City's Luke Thomas hasn't been playing much for them. And the other one is Newcastle's Matt Targett. Bit hesitant to go again for another left back from Newcastle after the Lewis situation. But what do you guys think of that shout or any of those other names that I've said? Do you think anything stands out there?
Toffolo's great shout. And Greg, by the way, has backed that claim up. Sam?
Yeah, I had two of those three names down as potential targets. Harry Toffolo was the one that I'd love to go for. I also had Matt Targett down in there, not necessarily because I want him, but because I just think he's a very, very Watford sort of signing. I think the name that as well that this one's very, very unlikely. But someone who potentially back on loan would be Harry Amas. I mentioned him in the summer. Probably not ready. I mean, he's only 17 years old, so I'm not sure at this stage if he'd be an upgrade on Larousse or James Morris or whoever else in that left back spot.
He definitely would be.
Definitely would be. Well, my main reason for getting him in there is the local lad, and we just need to get him out of that absolute mess at Man United at the moment. So if we can just get him home and give him half a season to show what he can do, I'd be happy with that. The other name as well, who I think I mentioned him in the summer or last January, still a free agent, is Brandon Williams, a player who I wouldn't necessarily want, but again, as a free agent, I think it's a very Watford move.
He's not having him.
Look, Sam,
I like Gary Neville last night.
No, do you know what? I did what you've done there and go on Transfermarkt and look at the free agents, and I saw his name on there, and I just don't know if that's the move for Watford. If I'm honest, having said that, it would in a weird way. Although a left back is a priority, if we go to a 4, I could see Watford actually riding it out with that position, because if you actually look at how many players we've now got, Ngakia and Ebisele can also play on the left hand side. Morris, Larousse are traditional left backs. Morris is more a left centre back. And then you've got Ngakia, Ebisele and Andrews who can play on the right. Weirdly, I would be surprised if we actually did go in for another fullback unless one of them went. Whether that's, I don't know who that would be. But I think they'll look at that left back.
Do you think we could do with another defender, another centre back?
Yeah, well, I think probably we do, because Caben hasn't really played as much football as we all expected. Ogbonna has been out since Luton away, where he had that hamstring injury. And you look at that left centre-back spot, and we've had to sort of mix and match between Morris coming in sometimes, Pollock's had to come out onto the left, and Sierra to go into the middle. We haven't really got a natural left-footed centre-back. And even then, with Ogbonna, he's a central centre-back, isn't he? Because he hasn't really got the legs to go into the channels. So I think you look at it, Sam, and you think a left centre back is probably a priority as well.
Yeah,
We're not
I mean,
all these players in January.
Yeah, it's just I think that there are bigger things that we need to look at in January. It's going to be difficult to get upgrades in certain positions, and I think there are positions that we need to prioritize. I must also confirm, by the way, I don't want Brandon Williams. I just think it would be incredibly Watford for us to sign him as a free.
Greg said I'd rather sign Robbie Williams.
I'd probably agree.
I watched his film yesterday. Really good. I'd recommend.
Did you?
Is that the one of like him as a gorilla or something like that?
Anyway, but one for the comments. If we can get any Robbie Williams related pun for the rest of the video would be good. But yeah, I'd really be interested if anyone's got any good shouts for a left-footed centre back that we should sign in January. So one for the comments, who can come up with the best name.
I'm now scrambling for a Robbie Williams reference. I've actually saved the Gammon and Stacey Christmas special for tonight to see in the new year.
You're in for a treat. Am
I going to cry?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, they were brimming in my eyes.
Oh, so you have the box of tissues ready?
The box of tissues ready, but the box of tissues are ready for when I cry my tears of joy at Wembley when we win the playoff final.
That was like a Lampard. That was a really good Lampard, that Sam. From you.
Thanks, mate. I appreciate that.
It's all about the intangibles. Right, we move on from one to another. We've done midfielders, we've done left backs, we've done centre backs. We'll go on to the strikers, which is obviously it's a big position for Watford to fill, whether they do it in this window or in the summer. I'm leaning towards more doing it in the summer, as in I want us to do it as soon as possible, but I think we probably will wait and assess our options, especially with Tom Cleverley confirming that Rajvic is staying out on loan at Bromby. Jebbison is staying here for the rest of the season. Unless we maybe dip into the free agent market. I'll throw my name out to start with, Charlie. Someone who I would love, but I don't think we're going to get, is Richard Kone at Wycombe Wanderers. Now, what an I don't know if you have time this afternoon, it's hit the evening. If you have a bit of time, read his story. It's absolutely incredible. I won't deliver the whole story now, probably because I won't do it justice, but it's an incredible story. He's been on fire for Wycombe this season. He's got pretty much all the attributes you look at in a striker that Tom Cleverley wants. And I think he'd be a brilliant signing. Now, the only caveat of that, and he is only 21 years of age, again, another young player. And I think when we're looking at these signings, I'm leaning more towards the younger players, just because I feel like Tom Cleverley has developed the younger players really, really well this season. He's mentioned it today in his press conference about Pollock, about Barr, about some of the younger players who have come in and have been really, really good for us. And I think Richard Kone goes into that bracket. The only issue is Matt Bloomfield is doing an unbelievable job at Wycombe. They're pushing for promotion. There's a really strong chance they're going to go up this season. They're backed by a billionaire. They're trying to basically do the Brentford model that they implemented at Wycombe. And I'd imagine that Richard Kone, number one, will be getting a new contract very, very soon. And number two, if he was to leave, it would be for a pretty decent sum that I don't think Watford would probably match in the January transfer window, let alone the summer. But if you're talking about a signing that I'd love us to make, a striker would absolutely be a priority, and Richard Kone would be top of my list. Charlie, you've done a bit more digging on your shout. As always, the research is there. Who have you gone with? Oh,
sorry, I'm lagging a bit. I'm back. Yeah, so a striker, again, with the news that we hear about Jebbison, I do think I can't see us kind of going big on a striker this season, which some people might like, some people didn't like. When I first, these kind of suggestion is a bit pie in the sky, and I think it excited me when I kind of came across it. But the first player that I was looking at, perfect striker for what we want, and that's someone who's going to kind of run the line, stretch defences for our number 10s, have the physicality to hold up the ball, but ultimately be a really good goal scorer. The first name, like I said, he's a kind of proven championship goal scorer. I think he scored 14, then 22 in his last two seasons in the championship. International teammates to one of our defenders. He's currently been missed out of the squad for Southampton for the last 4 games. It was Ben Berrettini Diaz, obviously good mates with the Chilean Pirlo, but I came across another name which kind of excited me more, because I do think Ben Berrettini Diaz will be a harder profile. Well, not harder profile, a harder signing. I think he'll have I've seen like Sheffield United want him back, and I think other top championship clubs will go in for him. So this striker that I'm going to put forward is, like I said, a really good profile. But like one thing that watching Jebbison that I think we're missing is like that the power, the strength. Like I miss the days of prime Troy Deeney, and this player has got that physicality, but he can run the channels as well. He also has got championship experience, playing 50 games. He played for Preston and Middlesbrough on loan a couple of years back. His goal scoring record, he scored 65 in 180 games in his career. He's currently out of favour at Wolfsburg, but originally came through the Man City Academy. And like kind of what we talk about with Hector and a midfielder, his contract does run out in the summer. So the player I'm putting forward, the striker, is getting Lucas Mecca on loan. Was at Man City, an absolute beast. He's right down the pecking order from Wolfsburg. Had a good loan spell at Preston a couple of years back. I think he went to Borough and it didn't quite work out, but he also went to Anderlecht and did really well over there. But Lucas Mecca, if we could get him on loan, I think he'd be an absolute beast for us, and it'd really, really get me excited.
26 years of age, 6'1", can play out wide, can play through the middle. He's at Wolfsburg at the moment. As Charlie said, he came through the Manchester City youth system. He's played for the England youth setup as well before making the switch to the Germany under-21s, then the German national team. He's played 9 times for them. Sam, your shout for striker?
A little bit more potentially boring than Charlie's shout there. A player we were linked with in the summer. I've gone with Ali Al-Hamadi from Ipswich, a player who I've really, really liked from his time at Wimbledon. It hasn't necessarily worked out for him at Ipswich. He's only played 18 games, about 24 games, since joining them last January. And obviously with them in the Premier League, he hasn't been able to have as many minutes, although I did see him come on a couple of weeks ago as well. At 22 years of age, I know he's in the Premier League at the moment, but he's wanting to be playing as many minutes as possible in England. He's got a lot to develop in his game as well, and I think that he can also play slightly behind the striker as well. So if we still wanted to find ways of playing Jebbison and Bayo, he could be a good option to have in there. So yeah, my shout is Ali Al-Hamadi from Ipswich.
Yeah, I think that's one, Sam, where a number of championship clubs will be interested. I think definitely he'll be looking for game time. Not that I know the guy, but I'd imagine he'll be looking for game time. And he has very much just been an impact player. I think the game you talk about, right, Sam, he came on at the Emirates, I remember, for 10 minutes. He came on against United for 15 at home. He's kind of just been a bit part player this season. But his rise from Wimbledon in League Two, being the top goal scorer in League Two, making the move to Ipswich, getting promoted with Ipswich, becoming the first Iraqi player to play in the Premier League. Absolutely incredible. Again, another incredible story, and one that I think would be a good shout. There was another shout. Someone said Sinclair Armstrong at Bristol City. Hamza said Will Evans from Mansfield Town. Mansfield in mid-table in League One, but has bagged 9 goals for them. Hacker, good to see Hacker. Jamie Donnelly ripping up at Leyton Orient. I hear Spurs are trying to move him to a bigger club. Keenan Davis currently leading the line for Udinese, as someone's mentioned as well. So that's sort of our shouts on that one. So I've gone Richard Kone. Charlie has gone Mecca at Wolfsburg, and Sam's gone for Ali Al-Hamadi. And then we go on to the goalkeeper shout, Charlie. And again, it begs the question whether we would do that in January. I feel that's more of a summer signing, a goalkeeper. And I think Beverly's made it pretty clear that Batman's going to be in goal for the rest of the season. There was a point where it was kind of a toss-up between him and Bonds. Batman's definitely the number one now, or has been since he came back into the team. But if you had to bring in a goalkeeper in January, who would it be?
Yeah, just before I go on the goalkeeper, a bit of breaking news. It looks like Stoke City are going to appoint Mark Robbins. So
great appointment.
Great appointment.
Do you know what's interesting on that? He turned down the opportunity to speak to Millwall. So clearly he was buying his time, because obviously Millwall have just appointed Alex Neil. Stoke is a really attractive club for a lot of managers, but I say that whilst it is an attractive club, it's a big club in the Championship. It's been a bit of a poison chalice over recent years.
Yeah, graveyard out there.
Yeah. I mean, who have they? They had Stephen Schumacher, Alex Neil, obviously. Nathan
Jones was there for a bit.
Jones. Who's just been sacked from there?
Chicho.
Yes, their former Norwich assistant. Sorry, Charlie, on the goalkeeper.
Oh, no, absolutely fine. Yeah, in terms of the goalkeeper, I 100% know that we are never signing a goalkeeper in January. However, whenever I do these videos, I will keep putting forward goalkeepers because I generally believe if we've got a goalkeeper that can pass, our game will change to the next level. I saw a good comment someone said about the Portsmouth keeper being good with his feet and how impressed they were with him, and I completely agree. This goalkeeper, looking at his stats, again, first thing I'm looking at is his pass completion rate. He's got 79.5%. If we compare that to Bachmann, Bachmann's got 69.4%. Save percentage, he just edges Bachmann as well. He's got 69%. Bachmann's on 71%. And then I look at another kind of weakness for Bachmann, stopping crosses. Percentage of crosses stopped, Bachmann's on 4.2. This goalkeeper's on 8.2. Had a loan spell at Aberdeen a couple of seasons back while Matty Pollock was there, so he'll have a friend to help him welcome him. And apparently the fans loved him. He didn't play much. I think he got injured, but he's Ajax's number 2. He played 12 games for them last season in the Europa League and Eredivisie. His name's Jay Gorta. Still only 24. I think it's a player that we should be looking out for. He looks like a really good profile. But again, I'm looking at, can he play with his feet? Growing up playing for Ajax, is a really good ball playing goalkeeper, good solid player, and someone who I think that would really kind of take us to the next level. So, yeah, maybe one for the summer, but I just wanted to give a look at another goalkeeper who I think would work well.
One name I wanted to chuck out, and it's a great shout from Charlie. I think we can all agree it's probably unlikely us getting a goalkeeper's going to come in January. But Miles Roberts at the minute, Sam, is out on loan in the Scottish Premiership. And he's been highly touted at Watford as someone who could potentially play at some point. He's the number 1 at Partick Thistle in the Scottish Championship, not Scottish Premiership. But it's a proper loan. That I know that sounds quite old school, but he's gone out. He's playing regularly. He's playing men's football, which is most important because you see a lot of players sort of drift in and out of the 21s and play a little bit here. But when you go out and actually have to play men's football at a professional level, I think that's when you can sort of judge a player. Is it fair to say that the Watford will have a decision to make come the summer about what they do with that goalkeeper spot? Because Batman's in there at the minute. Bond's number 2, whether they keep him on for another year to be back up. Miles Roberts coming back into the picture. How do you see that sort of goalkeeper situation going into the summer? I know we're looking at it.
I mean, Bachmann, as it stands, isn't going anywhere, is he? At the end of the season, he'll still have 4 years left on his deal. And unless the club obviously comes and pays for that, he'll still be here and will probably still be club captain as well under Tom Cleverley. So I do think Dan Bachmann next season will probably still be Watford's number 1 goalkeeper. And I do think Miles Roberts will probably come in and be looking to push that number 1 spot from what I'm hearing as well. I think I haven't watched any of him in Scotland, to be honest with you, other than the odd almost video that you'll see on Twitter of him making an absolute wonder save. The fans out there really, really like him. So, yeah, it's nice to see a young goalkeeper coming through the ranks at Watford because we had a few of those over the last few years, but none of them have necessarily made that next step and kicked on. So hoping that Miles Roberts can be different to that.
Should we throw some other shouts who we'd like to see come in January, Charlie? Any names that you want to throw into the mix as potentially the man who already spotted them before they happened?
I haven't spotted anything before it happens yet. But yeah, my last pick, get rid of the stats. I'm going completely on vibes here. Mentioned earlier in the video, we know Watford like to keep our relationship strong and bring a player back. Ishmael Kone, get him back on loan. He can't get a kick for Marseille. He is exactly what our midfield needs, that dynamism. He's like a complete championship player. I think if we looked at videos we did at the back end of last season, we were raving about Kone and how exciting he is. I think he could do that. The dog work of getting around the pitch, breaking things up, but also on the ball, I think he's excellent. He's got a good shot on him. Look, he loved it at Watford, and it was kind of, I don't know if it was a stage too early. Like they brought in loads of other players. It's kind of a big jump to go to Marseille to make an impact, but there's no point in him sitting over there in France. He knows the club. Get him back. And yeah, Ishmael Kone, ole.
Well, who would you have the chant then if he comes back? 'Cause I think it's Tom Cleverley's now. But one man to throw into the mix, and Greg Wendover Horn has mentioned him, Sam, as the name that he thinks, well, he says is coming. And I trust Greg. Brenner, the central midfielder, is coming, according to Greg. Trust me. Here we go, Sam.
Again, I can't lie. I'm not too clued up on Brenner. But if he's a central midfielder, it's an area that we do need. And I mean, do you two know if he's that almost destroyer that we'll need in the middle?
He's a striker.
He's a striker.
Yeah.
Ah, there was a midfielder.
There was a I think that he's a centre forward. But Josh was saying Brenner from Udinese or Pizarro will come. Jack's gone there. We land. Brenner, the centre forward. Look, that's one to keep an eye on to see if that one does happen. He's 24 years of age. He's only played for Udinese 17 times, scoring 1 goal. At Sao Paulo, though, that's where he sort of made his name before joining Cincinnati, where he scored 27 goals in 70. And he's one just to keep an eye on. Greg's given us the there we land, so we'll keep across that one. A couple of names I wanted to throw out into the mix from my end. A couple of centre mids. So one of them was Tyler Morton from Liverpool on loan. Now I don't know how realistic that is, and probably not. But I remember when he was at Hull last season. I think he's the classic technician in the midfield and would really level up our central midfield department. He's not really a classic destroyer, but his tackling numbers are decent and he's got a really good range of passing. And I think he'd be a good signing for us. Another one, and bit of a throwback, this one. Francis Coquelin is a free agent at the minute. He's 33 years old. And Watford do like a dip in the free agent market. We looked at Carlos Sanchez, obviously, when he joins under Cisco. Someone who could come in and do a job. 33 years of age, obviously well known for his time at Arsenal, Valencia, etc. Just someone I wanted to throw out there. There was Cheku Kiarte as well, but I thought probably we would.
What in the Bakuna are you talking about?
But I thought, you know what, Coquelin, Capu's, by the way, just to throw it into the mix as a free agent, Etienne Capu. I just thought out of everyone that I saw on the list, Francis Coquelin ticked a lot of boxes for what we need, and he is that classic destroyer. Now, I don't know about his legs at this point, and I don't know how much football he's played recently, but it reminded me of when Leeds signed Gilavogi as a free agent, I think this summer. Someone who's in their 30s, but could be a decent squad player for us. Sam, any other names you wanted to chuck out there?
Yeah, I mean, the goalkeeper that I had down was he's at Southampton, is Gavin Bazunu. He's been out with an Achilles issue since the summer. So he hasn't played a minute this season, and he's expected back, I think, in the middle of January or towards the end of January. Unlikely he'll get a game at Southampton with Aaron Ramsdale there. I know Ramsdale's had his issues with injury, but they've also got, I think, McCarthy there as his backup. So I doubt Bazunu will get many minutes at Southampton. So they could maybe look to get him out on loan before their inevitable return to the Championship next season. So that could be an option to look at. Then the other two names that I think we probably don't need either of them, and they're a bit more ambitious, like Charlie said. Purely vibes players. I think number one would be Isaiah Jones from Middlesbrough. They wouldn't sell to us because we are a direct playoff competing for the playoffs with them. But I do think I read somewhere that Isaiah Jones is looking to leave Middlesbrough in this transfer window, despite only signing a new deal last season. And the other player, again, this one's really ambitious and probably wouldn't happen. Literally 10 minutes before we came onto the stream, I saw that Unai Emery could be looking to let Jaden Philogene go out on loan again from Aston Villa. So he could be a fun player to have. But neither of those players I don't think are essential. We need to prioritise that central midfielder, striker and left-back role.
Love it. Charlie, before I move to the comment section for their shouts, and some of our viewers and listeners have sent theirs into our handle at WD18 fans. Anything else you wanted to mention before I do that?
Yeah, I've just been trudging back to my terrible Twitter feed because I'm sure I did a post on Brenner ages ago. Could you guys see that all right?
Yes, sir.
This may be wishful thinking, but if we are getting anyone from Udinese, Brenner would be my first choice. 23 and has previously scored 24 goals in 56 for Sao Paulo and 27 in 73 for Cincinnati. He's not included in their squad tonight, eyes emoji. So, yeah, I think... And there's a goal there. Hopefully we don't get done for copyright. Sorry. Yeah,
the last dream is the end of 2024.
Go out in style. No, yeah, I what I've seen of him, like he looks like a really tidy, exciting player. So, Greg, I'm hoping your sources are strong because I think that'd be an exciting one. Really like Sam's shout there about Bazunu. Didn't think about it with Ramsdale. I don't know if they've got him permanently or not, but when we're talking about goalkeepers who can play, he can play.
Oh, he can play.
Hot in the mouth stuff sometimes. I was sometimes watching. I was sometimes watching Southampton last season, just almost screaming, "What are you doing?" But he can play with his feet. And he's
I'd rather my heart in my mouth than my head in my hands.
I know we complain about Watford sometimes changing. Well, a lot of times the channel complaining managers different styles. Southampton have gone from Russell Martin, where they wanted to play like Man City, to Juric, who is pretty much completely the opposite of that. It feels like they don't know what style they actually want. Gavin Bazunu is a lovely shout, Sam, and Aaron Ramsdale has joined permanently with Southampton, so that might be one to look out for, particularly in the summer. There was another shout in terms of the goalkeeper of it, Johansson at Stoke City, as someone to mention as well if they got relegated. That's it, Victor Johansson, who was at Rotherham last year and has been in really, really, really good form this year. And then just some shouts to throw out there. Rio says Capu plays basketball now, and Jack says don't pull on my heartstrings with Capu, Rio. I like this one from Hamza. Alexander Schlager as a keeper shout. Austrian 2, possibly for summer if we come up. Salzburg somehow not winning the league, so maybe gettable. James McAtee also a shout. He's had interest. Having said that, I think the interest, Hamza, is from Premier League clubs, so I'd imagine unless we got him on a loan, that would be unlikely. But I really like the shout. Brenner's been mentioned. Rio's gone Tickle from Wigan as one to mention. Iran Kunda from Bayern, the winger, says Joshua. Kiefer Moore is at Sheffield United. Will Lancashire from Spurs. What I love about this video is you just get reminded about how many players actually play football in England. Brandon Williams, what was Sam smoking in Australia? Dennis is a free agent. Kieran Tini, can he jump over the fence? 6 months left in his contract from Arsenal. Would he jump the fence at London Colney? I'd probably say no. Adam Delafeu, return on a free, is one to mention as well. Delafeu has been putting out those tweets, hasn't he? Louis Barry, I saw someone mention as well.
Oh, I'd absolutely love Louis Barry.
Because Middlesbrough are in for him, right?
Yeah, he's a very sort of Middlesbrough sort of signing. Absolutely ripping it up at Stockport. If you watch some of his goal highlights from this season, he is absolutely quality. But yeah, unlikely that he comes to us. I think he'll be going to Middlesbrough or even one of the top 3.
Okay, I think we had just a couple more shouts of people who sent one in. Jayden Dan's on loan from Liverpool, who burst on the scene last year. There's one from Jonathan Hell who said Miles Leburn as well. Hazard has got Carl Rushworth on loan if Brighton recall him. Richard Kone was mentioned by Lee as well. So any shouts that you like that we've discussed today or any that we haven't mentioned, let us know in the comment section below after the video's finished. I think that's where we'll probably leave it in terms of the transfer stuff, Charlie. Now we've got to look ahead to tomorrow, which is a trip to QPR for the Zazzera Classico, which is the big one of the year, and it's on the first day of the year. How are we feeling going into tomorrow, Charlie? I'm looking forward to seeing you boys and having a bit of brekkie, and then we'll make our way Watford Junction to Shepherd's Bush, if I remember correctly. I'm going full. Who's the guy who does the videos?
Danny Dyer. I thought you were thinking Green Street there for a moment.
No,
that's
no.
Isn't it?
That's not my scene. But the train man, Francis. That's it, Francis Bourgeois. Yeah, we'll be going from Watford Junction. So if you do see us tomorrow, say hello. Not Danny Dyer. Yeah, from Francis Bourgeois to Danny Dyer. Charlie, how are we feeling for tomorrow? Nervous?
Yeah, I haven't thought about it too much, which has been good because I'm nervous. Like, yeah, we can't lose tomorrow. Like, I'd probably would I take a draw? I probably would take a draw. But yeah, another win at Loftus Road would be glorious. We've had some good ones from yesterday. I remember the 3-1 when Danny Graham scored. Obviously Jake Livermore. Yeah, it's always good. We'll wave to Sombrero Man. If you know, you know. Yeah, let's hopefully we can go there, get the points, and get our promotion push back on track. Dare I say?
Absolutely, and no better time to do it, really, Sam. Looking ahead to tomorrow. If you think of that last trip to Loftus Road, I have to say, I think whilst we were delighted, we did come away thinking we were a little bit lucky. I think Ben Hamer bailed us out quite a lot in that last 10 minutes, if I remember correctly. Liverpool with 2 goals that he hadn't scored all season. To score 2 of them on the same game was just unheard of. And actually, we're coming up against a QPR team who are really starting to come into groove under Martí Cifuentes this season. I'm a big fan of him and what he's done. But they did have a pretty poor result on Boxing Day away at Swansea. Apart from that, that's their only loss since November the 23rd. So they've been on a really, really good run of form. And particularly at home, they've won their last 3, or they're unbeaten in 4. They beat, actually, no, I say that. They're unbeaten. Yeah, they're unbeaten in 4. They've won their last 3 against Preston, Oxford and Norwich, scoring 7 goals in the process. So if you had to put in your predictions for tomorrow, do you fancy Watford to go there and get a result?
By the way, you just mentioned Swansea just now. They could be ones to watch in the second half of the season. They are really clicking into gear now under Luke Williams. I said after the post-match pint after the Cardiff game that I thought we'd beat QPR. And unfortunately, I've actually changed my mind. I in my head, right, I think it's going to be so Watford to lose to QPR, so it'll be back-to-back defeats, but then go into the Graham Taylor match day against Sheffield United, one of the best teams in the league, and beat them. So, unfortunately, I think we're probably going to lose. I'm going to go 1-0 tomorrow. I think it'll be a really, really scrappy, poor, typical away performance that we've seen this season, and we'll be edged out 1-0.
Well, we'll have a reaction to the game on the 2nd. It might be something a little bit different, so keep your eyes peeled across that. We have got some really, really exciting news on the way. So keep your eyes peeled across WD18 at WD18 fans and on our YouTube. If you could subscribe as well, that would be really, really appreciated. There's only one thing left to do before we wrap up today. Now, Charlie is very, very kindly given me a present. Sam, before I do that, do you want to just maybe reveal your present? Unless it's the same one, Charlie.
No, it's different.
Okay,
yeah,
go on.
I can't be. So I opened up an interesting looking package from Charlie, and I open it up, and Charlie has framed my tweet before the Euros of me saying that fantastic to see Ryan Porteous given the opportunity to play on the biggest stage. Great opportunity for him to impress. Will not shock me if he attracts interest this summer, if he has a good tournament. Obviously, half an hour after me tweeting this, Ryan Porteous got sent off in the first half an hour of the Euros. That tweet ended up getting something like 20,000 likes or something as well. So, yeah, appreciate that reminder, Charlie. I'll have that on my wall for me to look at forever.
That is an unbelievable. I was not expecting that. That is beautiful. There's like a nice bit of thought to that as well, Charlie.
Yeah, Jacob, start opening yours now because yours it might be a bit fiddly to look. And just while Jacob's opening his up, I know I put this on Twitter, but I got gifted this.
Cool.
I got gifted this year, and it's absolutely stunning. There was quite a few people on Twitter asking where I got it, so I can put the link in the description. But a really nice bit of Watford merch there with some real men, some Watford legends. So just wanted to give that a shout out. And I can send a link.
By the way?
Oh, and by the way, yeah, my rapping is just as good as Eminem's.
The rapping is decent, by the way. I might keep that for next year. Okay. You lads might have to fill time while I'm doing this. I can't.
Finish. I mean, the other present I got, not from.
Oh my words! This is incredible. Go on, Sam.
So I mean, I got this lovely quarter zip, the one that Tom Cleverley wears in training. It's a lovely one. Kelme smashed it out the park again. I'm intrigued now by Jacobs, though. Go on.
I'm going to pull this out of the packet as we go.
That's amazing.
That is absolutely. That might be one of the best presents I've ever received. I don't know what to do. Should I frame it? I've got to frame it, haven't I?
There's a little stand that you can just have by your desk, and you can look at him.
When one of those things, though, is there like a QR code on it where you can like scan it and it takes you to paparazzi?
Oh my God, Charlie, that is incredible.
Unbelievable. 2 very Euros heavy gifts there. Appreciate that, CZ.
Oh my words.
Are you crying? Are you choking up?
I'm tearing up a little bit. I was going to cry at the Gavin and Stacey Christmas special, not on over a bloody present. Charlie, thank you, mate. That's really, really kind. But also, I'm going to have to. I'll do this after the stream's ended, where I put it onto a stand. Thank you very much, and thank you very much for watch today. We'll be back on this. I was not expecting that. We'll be back on the 2nd, potentially. Well, we'll do a QPR reaction somewhere, maybe from a special location. Sam, Charlie, any final thoughts before we let you go?
Happy New Year. Yeah, unbelievable year, as always. With you two as well, the highs and the lows of Watford. Been nice to have the therapy sessions when it's not been so good, but particularly this season where it's been a lot better, it's been nice to enjoy it with the pair of you, as always.
Yeah, just to echo that, not only to Sam and Charlie, because bloody legends, and genuinely, I'm not just saying this because they're here, is one of the highlights, if not the highlight of the week, chatting Watford for an hour on a Sunday night. It is not only therapeutic more often than not, but always good fun. And thank you so much to everyone who watched our podcasts, listens, watched, engaged, commented. You know who you are. Thank you so much for getting involved with our content over 2024. Without a doubt, our best year on WD18 in terms of the amount of people that engage with us, but also the amount of lovely, lovely comments. We get positive and negative, but 99% of the time it is positive. And we really, really do appreciate the amount of hours and minutes and effort and energy you do, because you give up an hour of your time every week to listen to us talking about Watford, and we really do appreciate it. So thank you so much for getting involved, and hopefully we can keep this going. And I think we're going to try and level up, Charlie, for next year, right? 2025. We've got some exciting things on the way.
Yeah. Hopefully some exciting news. Well, we do have some exciting news that we're going to be dropping at the beginning of the year. So if you're not, subscribe, turn the notifications on. And my last message is, if any of the players are watching or any families and friends, tomorrow's a big one. Get into these. Lift it.
Straight away. He's gone full daddy guy. Thanks so much, guys. Hope you had a great Christmas. Happy New Year. And we will see you in 2025 at Loftus Road, and hopefully for another Watford win. Thanks so much, guys. Take care of yourselves and up the audits. You want.